So good morning everyone, good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomos and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality and I talk about personal and self-growth. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back. And I thank you for your love and support. So today I'm inspired to talk about the shift. And that is the shift. When I'm talking about the shift, I'm talking about the paradigm shift. So that is the shift in awareness, whereby an individual moves from one state of consciousness to another. Now, I never remember the exact time. I never remember the exact date. But I remember it could be between the 20th or the 23rd of August. That was 2019. I'm sitting down there by myself, contemplating different situations, what is going on with what I was facing at that time. You already know, guys, I've been facing narcissistic abuse for those years. And I'm just there wondering what is going on. And eventually, the light bulbs turn on. So the light bulbs turn on. I hear a very big ringing in my ears. A very, very big, guys, this was a very, very intensive ringing in my ears. So as I'm processing my that ringing, what is going on, I'm sitting there, I'm motionless. At that moment, I was motionless. So I'm sitting down there. There's a very, very loud ringing in my ears. And then all of a sudden, I feel this, the weight being lifted out of my chest. I'd always been having a problem with my chest, you know what I mean? Because normally when you're going through trauma, you get that thing that sticks around your chest, and it's like that pain is very, very intense and you don't know what's going on there. So that pain also immediately starts lifting off my chest. And eventually I start to get a lot of downloads. I think that time my mind was working at 1,000 miles an hour. The downloads were overwhelming. The puzzles started fitting. I was looking around me. The world around me had already started changing, and now I was starting to get more clarity and more answers to all the problems and all the things I'd been facing in those days. So I'm sitting down there motionless. I think this motionless period took about within 2 to 3 minutes. I'm not moving, I'm not talking, I'm not looking around, I'm just in one place like this, just the way you see me like this. I'm just looking at one place and I'm motionless. And I'm asking God, what exactly is going on with me? What am I facing? What is happening? I don't know what is going on in that time. So, of course, the narcissist walks in those moments. The narcissist walks in, and I saw what I saw, which I've always refused to say on camera because I do not want to cause any kind of disruption in other individuals' lives. So I've always refused to mention what I saw in that moment. But it was as well not a pretty sight. Now, eventually I decide to leave the entanglement. I move on with my life. I start slowly arranging myself, packing my bags, and I left the vicinity. Now I go out there. I go out of my house in those days. I went out of the house. I start to look at the whole world around me. It's like there is things that I wouldn't understand before. Things are starting to make sense. I'm seeing these visions. I'm seeing the signs on the walls. I'm seeing the pictures. I'm seeing the synchronicities. I'm seeing numbers. I don't completely know what exactly is going on. I'm completely puzzled in those days because remember, guys, I did not know anything about awakening. I had no idea what is the spiritual awakening. I did not know our shifting from one dimension to another. So the next day I go to work, of course. Those following days I went to work. I was doing a job in those days. I was working in the corporation. So I went to work. So I reached the workplace. And I see a lot of workmates. And I'm thinking, wow, look at these guys. These guys are narcissists. You know what I mean? I would see, guys, let me tell you something. When I went to the workplace, that is the very first time for the many years I'd been in that corporation. It's the very first time I was able to see this particular individual and that particular individual and this particular individual. Those are narcissists. These are toxic. These are psychopaths. I would start to see everything around me. Everything added up and everything started to make sense. So I'm sitting down there and I'm thinking, wow, it looks like my life has just changed. You know what I mean? I was starting to realize and agree and accept that my life was changing in those moments. I noticed the changes. I would see the differences every moment I went out of the house. Now, of course, the list can go on and on and on, but I'll tell you one paranormal activity that happened in one of those days. So I remember when I eventually moved out of the house with my ex-partner. I remember I came out because those days I discovered that grounding was one of the essential things that was going to help me to to come out, to get to that place of healing. You know what I mean? So I came out to ground. I was sitting at the other side of the river, so the river was very clear. Now it's a bit dirty, and you know what I mean. So, but in those days it was very, very clear, so you could see just clear water. Very, very early in the morning. It was around 8 o'clock. So I'm sitting like this and I'm staring at the water. I'm trying to meditate. I was doing a meditation for around, I think it was like 10 minutes or something like that. So I'm meditating, and then I'm opening my eyes and I'm looking at the water, and it looks as if you guys have seen fireworks. Eventually, you've seen those sparks when there's fireworks going on around the place. You've seen the sparks that are flying all over the air. I'm looking at the water, and I'm seeing a lot of sparks. It's like the water was being sparked by fireworks, guys. Until this moment, I don't know what it was all about. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what was happening, but I just saw all of a sudden it was the water. On the surface of the water, the whole river was being hit by sparks, and they would swirl in a kind of, it was like a rhythm. They would spark and go the left hand side, and then all of a sudden the sparks would just run over to the right hand side, and then sometimes they would station themselves in the middle. Then they would start to go opposite and south, north and west. I did not know what was going on in that moment, guys. Let me tell you something. As paranormal as it would get, for the first time I was seeing an extremely paranormal activity that was going on in my situation. So I was like, wow, what is going on in this situation? I was even about to make a video about it. I was like, I'm going to make a video, but I think at that moment I was intending to do a video, to do another video. So I was like, I'm not going to record this. So I did not record that incident, but I saw the water was being hit by sparks. It was shiny white and yellowish greenish sparks on the top of the surface of the river. I was like, okay, now I'm starting to see all the world around me. So you see, one thing what you have to understand, guys, is that the shift is that moment of whereby you're shifting from one dimension to another. So it's like there is this world around you that you couldn't really understand, or you couldn't really figure out, or you couldn't really figure out. So you are seeing now another world that has always existed around you, behind the veil and behind the scenes. Now I'm starting to see all these kind of things, and I'm like, okay, now everything is starting to change. Completely everything is starting to change. No more fear. One of the things I realized as well when I was going through the shift was there was no more fear. So the things that used to trigger me in those days, the things that used to worry me, there was no more fear. I was just coming out, being authentic, doing my thing, you know what I mean? Carrying on with my own normal day. But this time I noticed for the very first time in so many years, there was no more fear involved. So I was able to express myself exactly how I always wanted to express myself. So I would come out authentically. And that had never happened, guys, for the last 40 years of my life. It had never happened in my life that I was able to be authentic, because most of the times there was always this fear, you know what I mean? This kind of thing that you're living in fear, you know what I mean? You're looking around you, somebody's watching you. You cannot say this because somebody's listening. Your family is saying this, your family is saying that. Now, a paradigm shift normally, it moves you to that place whereby you stop to experience life the way it used to be. So you stop to see things the way they used to be. And that's why sometimes in most of the cases you realize that your immediate circles, like the friends, your family, the people who are always around you, the people who have always been with you, including your partners, you realize that now for the first time in your life, you can now start to see them for who they really are. You can understand what they are saying. You can know each and every. It's like you can almost read them like a book. You know what I mean? You will know that from this point they are going to A, from point A to point B, and that's what they are going to see. Then they are going to D. So you can read all these patterns, guys. It's almost unbelievable, and I can guarantee you, most of the times when people are waking up, it is that situation whereby you cannot actually explain these kind of things to people, because people are going to call you crazy. So again, that's why sometimes you guys have had a lot of times, for the most of you guys who are waking up, you've had situations whereby people have always come around and they told, oh, it looks like you're crazy, you need to go to see a psychiatrist, because you're telling them things. You're telling them things that are from a fifth dimension. You're telling them things that are on a very, very high dimension, and they can completely not understand. Because remember, again, guys, I've told you, not to judge anybody who is not awake. Don't judge these individuals, because a lot of them, they are coming from a low frequency. So they are coming from that place whereby they cannot figure out what is going on. They cannot understand your language. You're speaking a lot of there's these terms you've developed. You're speaking a lot of you're speaking about a lot of things they do not figure out. They do not understand. They do not even know. They have no clue where you're coming from. So a lot of times when you're speaking a lot of these things after waking up, after going through the shifts, you are speaking about things that are confusing people. So you do not ever judge anybody. Just let them be in their own place. Let them understand that the world sometimes it evolves. Everybody evolves differently. Everybody wakes up at a different time. So some of us who have awakened, we have already started to get more and more enlightened each and every single day. We are learning a lot of things. So when you're going through these shifts, you've already moved from your old frequency, the frequency of fear, hate, resentment. You know, it's like that fear which would always drag you backwards. You know what I mean? You're always trying to move forward, but it's like there's something. You feel as if somebody has tied a rope on your back, and it's like you're moving one step forward, and they're always dragging you back and bringing you backwards. At some point, they're always dragging you back and bringing you 3 steps backwards. So you are always in a stagnant position, and you cannot move to the next level. And on top of being your authentic self, you don't have the capacity and the ability and the capability to be your authentic self. You always want to live for other individuals because you're out there living for validation. You know, you do posts on the YouTube or sometime on the Facebook, on the Instagram, or sometimes even meeting people physically, and it's like you're out there for validation. You want people to validate you. You have already moved out of that frequency. You're no longer looking for validation. You just want to be as authentic as you can, regardless of who is listening or who is watching. You just want to come out and express yourself authentically. So for the most of you guys, chosen ones, that shift, it is always going to come to that point whereby you're waking up and you're opening up to a new world. You know what I mean? You're opening up to a new world. You are now getting into tune. For a lot of you guys, you've seen me many of the times I want to come around here. I do videos in nature. I feed the birds. I ground. I do this kind of things because I feel now I'm in line. I'm in alignment with the universe. You know what I mean? You come to that alignment with the universe whereby you want to do things as organic as they can. Even sometimes your feeding habits will always change, whereby now you're starting to feel you don't want to eat a certain type of food. You know what I mean? Your feeding habits, before you used to be interested or sometimes gravitating towards greasy foods and the things like that. But now you're realizing there is some foods you don't want to eat. You know what I mean? The shift always shifts, not only physically, it shifts you not only physically, but it also shifts you mentally and also spiritually at the same time. So you start to see the world around you differently, not the way you used to do it before. So that's why you see there is always people who will come around and argue with you. They'll tell you you're crazy, what you're doing, you don't know what you're saying, I don't know, you should go and see a doctor, you should go and see a therapist and the things like that. I've heard all those words before. But I refuse to listen to them, because in the beginning, there was a time when I used to think that, these guys, they could be sometime talking about the truth. Maybe in those days, in the early days, I thought that maybe it's true that I was going crazy or something like that. It could be that I'm going crazy. Maybe it's me who is going crazy and I just need to understand what is happening. So most of the times, you will sometimes even doubt yourself when you're waking up. It is a very uncomfortable situation as well. It is very uncomfortable, and sometimes it's even very scary, because it's like you're the only one who's seeing things. You're going through that enlightenment stage. You're coming across a lot of channels, a lot of videos, a lot of other people into spirituality. You're learning all these spiritual terms, this spiritual language, and a lot of people around you, they believe you're actually speaking a different language. I remember in those days, I used to know some guys. So when I came to see the guys, they were like, you know, those are my old circles, the old circles of friends I used to have in those days. They were like, hey Denzo, you know, this we're hearing you speaking this and you're speaking that. We don't know what you're saying. It looks like you're a different person. Let me tell you something, guys. People do not understand what I'm saying, because when you're getting enlightened, you're piercing through the veil. So now you're starting to get behind the veil, and you're seeing a lot of stuff for what they are. Exactly for what they are. Whether it is people, whether it is places, you're starting to look around, you're starting to realize that there is some things you used to do, and that was not the real you. So it was not the authentic version of you. And you're choosing to create another world which is another authentic world which you can accept. First of all, there's things that you have got to accept as an individual for who you really are. That is who you are. That is who you want to be. And now you're accepting that reality, the reality of your life that you want to face, and you're accepting it fully, and you're coming out and expressing yourself authentically. You know what I mean? So the world, when you shift, when you go through the shift, the paradigm shift, the world is not the same. The world, it does not matter how you fight it. It doesn't matter what you want to do or how much you try to fight it. The world around you will always not be the same because everything has already changed completely. And now you have to accept the new reality of the world that you're facing in that time. So when I'm talking about the shift, I'm talking about that shift in awareness. So I mean, you know what I mean? You're becoming more aware. You're becoming more enlightened. You're becoming more open, more free, more authentic. You know what I mean? You're becoming an authentic version of yourself. And the only way anybody out there can ever experience an authentic version of themselves is when they are able to express themselves authentically without having to sugarcoat things. I've seen sometime on my channel, people used to come in those days. I remember people used to come, oh, no, we hear you talking about this. We know talking. Who do you believe in? What God do you believe in? What God do you... So many people don't understand that spirituality and religion is even different. You know what I mean? At that frequency, there's some people who don't understand that spirituality and religion, they are completely two different things. Religion is where you give out your power to an individual, or sometimes people are saying there's a God somewhere up in the sky, so sometimes you're calling on that God to come and intervene in your life. But on spirituality, we always know that there's a God actually within us. It is actually when we are praying or sending out intentions or trying to better our lives, we're actually asking that God within us to allow us to create and sometimes to present us with the things that we need. So we are praying to the God within. We're not praying to the God somewhere up in the sky. And at the same time, we're not also giving our power out to pastors, to churches, to church leaders, to some other organizations and the things like that. We know that the power has always been within us. So there is a lot of things will happen for a person who is waking up. You're going to start to understand all these dynamics of that world that has always been around you, that you never really knew existed. So it's like completely you are stepping into a completely different dimension, and you're becoming a completely different version of yourself. That's why it is good to confuse a lot of people around you. A lot of people around you, they will always think there is something, or there's something going on with you. You know what I mean? They don't understand you. You're speaking a lot of terms. You're using a language. You're going a different direction. It's like the whole crowd. I can give you an example. It's like you're seeing, for example, 100 people running toward the right. And then you as a person who has awakened, because now you can see the whole truth, the whole dynamics of the world playing around you. Now you can look and you can say that, okay, so I know that those people are going to the right side. I'm going to take the left side. And most of the times, it does not matter who else is going to come with you. You are going to go to the left-hand side by yourself because you know that is the right side to go. But a lot of people are going on the right-hand side, no matter how big the crowd may seem, no matter how large the crowd may seem. A lot of people, you also understand they are going to a completely wrong direction, but you decide, you say, I'm going to go to the left, no matter who is following me. I don't care looking back who is following me or who wants to follow me, they will come and follow me. Who doesn't want it's okay, they can go their way. But at the end of the day, they'll also realize that actually, at the end of the day, that I have always taken the right path. That's why you see even sometimes in your families are coming out and calling you names. They're saying, oh, you know what, the family, so for us, we're doing like this. That is our tradition. That is our culture. This is our this and that is our that. They're all telling you about those things that you should do as a family. But you're saying, no, I've already come to the realization of the truth, and I'm going to stand in my authenticity. I'm going to only follow my direction. And most of the times, a lot of times, people who are waking up, they have found a case whereby they have started to conflict very much with their families because they are on a different frequency, and those family members, they don't understand what you're saying. And again, I'll repeat this. Do not judge anybody, guys. Remember that everybody wakes up at their own time. At some point in time when they start to see you doing these things that they have never thought about doing, they only dream about doing, but now they see you moving towards that direction. That is when a lot of guys around you, friends and family, they're going to come to that reckoning that actually probably you're on the right track. And maybe sometime they may even sometime come to you and ask you how you do it, or sometime how can they get to that level where they can do what it is you're doing. So for a lot of you guys who are waking up, it's important to realize that there are shifts that happen. Those shifts, they take you out of the old frequency, and they take you out of an old paradigm, the paradigm on the lower dimension. They bring you to a higher dimension whereby you can now start to see the world on that level that other people cannot see it. And that is the only way you can be able to create your life and become an authentic version of yourself and eventually a better version of you. So guys, let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you're going through the shift. How has it affected your relationships? How has it affected your family and friends and all the immediate circles? Let me know if I'm talking to you in this video. And of course, guys, remember, on this channel I talk about spirituality, I talk about narcissism, I talk about growth and all these kind of things. If that resonates with you guys, don't always remember, give us a like. Don't forget to comment on this video, share this video with your friends if you know somebody who needs this kind of content. And until then, I'll get back to you in my next one. Much love and blessings. Desmos signing out, and peace.